circle spinning, circle, check. Hello, friends. Hello, Lee Brown here at One Community Real Estate. You might hear some ruckus outside my office because my agents are having a big old time today. We just finished interviewing a bunch of our favorite vendors to make sure they still want to be our favorites, and it was amazing. And of course, I'm joined by the one and only Eric Kistner, who is the king of Northeast Tennessee. And Eric, I think you should say hello to everybody on the stream who doesn't know.
Hello. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me as always.
Well, you know, you have to be here because you're the one with all the information, because you are a big nerd when it comes to PPP and EIDL.
That's exactly right. Nerd is a great word for it.
You know, when we were young, nerd was a bad word, but nowadays nerd is a good word. So
you want to be a nerd.
Hey, Tina. So friends, as you're watching this stream, I want you to do me a favor. Invite somebody to watch this if they are a realtor, a broker, an insurance agent, a mortgage lender, a landscaper, contractor, hairdresser, nail tech, anybody who gets paid on a 1099. You want to invite them to watch this information, because we're going to talk to you today about how to get into PPP, the Payroll Protection Program, to get at the end of round one, which is almost done, but you need that because round two is open. And you may have had a pretty solid end of 2020, but there's still opportunity for you to shore yourself up for the future. So our big conversation today is about PPP. So Eric, let's kick it off. I'd love for you to tell everybody watching this stream who PPP is for and give them the tiny little snippet of a background.
Yeah, so the Paycheck Protection Plan is designed for small business owners, independent contractors, anybody that gets a 1099. This is the program that the government came up with to help us during the dreadful pandemic that we're all suffering through. And last March, April, May, they rolled that out and it's very successful. Billions of dollars were handed out to small business owners as a loan. But what is beautiful about it is that if you play by the rules and do it exactly like you're supposed to do it, that loan is forgiven. And now we're talking about round two, which started this week. And it's another chance for small business owners that have been affected by this pandemic to get some financial help.
Okay, so let's talk about forgiveness real quickly. Who's eligible for forgiveness and how is that working?
Everybody is eligible for forgiveness. The main thing that you have to do in order to get forgiveness is you had to use the money the way that they told us to use it. And that was pay at least 60% of our payroll, 60% of the loan for your payroll, and the rest for overhead expenses. And as long as you do that, you will be forgiven. Especially if you got a loan like realtors are getting under $50,000, the government was looking for every way possible to forgive these loans. Remember, the banks want them forgiven too. They don't want to loan you money at 1%. If the loan gets forgiven, they make their 100 basis points on top and they're done. So everybody wants to find a way to get us forgiven.
Well, I'll tell you, it's one of the main goals of the National Association of Realtors, because our members as the Realtor Association are small potatoes in this big plan, y'all. And forgiveness is good. And yes, I love how Kathy's popping over here in the comments. She got her forgiveness 5 minutes after she got off our Clubhouse call this morning.
Oh,
so
great.
high five, Kathy. That's fantastic. And just remember, you got to keep asking questions, because the goal of the government on PPP was to keep small businesses afloat. It was not to turn you into a paperwork nightmare. But by that same token, Eric, a lot of small businesses didn't apply for this, and realtors and brokers didn't apply for it. So talk about why people should still apply for round one, even though we're almost at the end of our first year of craziness here.
Yeah, and it's a shame that more didn't apply for it. Many didn't because they didn't think they would qualify. Some people got stumped on the paperwork. There was a lot of confusion coming from the SBA and the government, and it just was not a really good rollout to the program. But as the year went on, they got better and better. And now we're in round two, right? So this is January, and now they're really good about that program. So if you did not get a PPP in the first part, PPP 1, now is your time. You have an opportunity.
Today, friends, today.
The money for PPP 1 was from last year's budget and was set aside. That money is going to run out. So if you did not get PPP 1, today is the day to apply for that. If you did get PPP 1, now you can get PPP 2.
If you're on my Instagram, there's a link in the bio where you can apply for PPP. If you're on this one, I think we have a comment in the caption. If not, Michelle is going to add that very quickly here. So you can go get applied. Get it done, y'all. And Eric and I got to point out to you too, we've heard this from a lot of our friends. They feel guilty taking PPP funds. They wonder if they should or not because real estate has been a leading sector. But Eric, explained something about why real estate folks are eligible.
Yeah, and the government was very, very particular in making sure that all of their independent contractors, real estate and otherwise, were taken care of, because we are the backbone of our economy. What, 16, 17% of our GDP is because of real estate. And they also knew that when we had the big shutdown in 2008, 2009, when the entire market imploded, it was real estate that led us back out of that. And it's going to be real estate that leads the economy back out of this pandemic. So,
well, we've been leading in all of 2020. And
absolutely.
In case you're a normal person watching this, you should know every time a house sells, it brings an estimated $65,000 to $67,000 into the local economy, because people who buy and people who sell, they are spending money at home improvement places and with landscapers and with contractors and with granite people and paint people and pool people and all kinds of affiliated businesses. So house sales and business sales absolutely drive a ton of economic activity. But as Eric mentions, we're uncertain economic activity. And those of us that are in the business tend to be 1099s, and we are independent business owners. Oh, Gina makes a good point over on YouTube. She says there wasn't help in 09, so she doesn't feel guilty because we weren't helped back then. That's a good point, Gina. The other thing we would tell you, though, is these are your dollars, friends. The government does not produce shit. Excuse my French. The government is a net taker. This is your tax dollars you're getting back. So think about this. When you receive these dollars, many of you that are 1099s, you are pouring right back out into other small businesses and into the economy. You create jobs, you create opportunity, and there's a reason that you've got to stay in business. So think about how you can apply for that. Eric, there was a quick question over here from David in Lumberton asking if we have to be incorporated to get PPP. So could a realtor agent who doesn't own a brokerage apply? And so could the brokerage. And by the way, friends, tag in bars, restaurants, hairdressers, yes, nail techs, anybody who's a 1099, bring them here. Eric's got answers.
Yeah, you don't have to be an LLC. You just have to have received a 1099, and that's your qualification. So if you pay taxes on your 1099, and that means that on your 1040 tax return, you have a Schedule C. If you're one of those folks, you qualify. Now your brokerage may qualify too a different way, because they may have employees. In the case of an independent contractor, you're doing it just for yourself. But if you're in a partnership or something else that owns a brokerage, it's a whole nother program, but it's still the PPP.
Karen is asking a question about round 2 application. Okay, so real quick, because Karen, that's where we're going next, friend. And this is really, really important information. If you received round 1, you definitely want to pay attention to round 2. Friends, if you wonder why I'm holding my phone, I'm showing this on Instagram Live too, because Instagram's not tied into StreamYard. So Instagram friends, y'all can find the link to apply in my bio on Instagram. The rest of y'all, Michelle is feeding it into the comment thread here. So Karen's asking a question about round 2. Eric, tell them how round 2 is calculated and what information they need for round 2.
So to qualify for round 2, first you had to have received PPP 1. If you received PPP 1, and then this is big, you had to have had a 25% reduction in gross receipts. That's your commission in or your income from your business into your account in one of the quarters in 2020. They matched that up with 2019. So let's say in 2019, if in the second quarter, you brought in $10,000 worth of business, you need a 25% reduction in the second quarter of 2020 in order to qualify for PPP 2. And that could be in any quarter. Anybody.
And remember this, friends, that's quarter over quarter, and it's gross. This is not your income tax returns. This is your gross, not your net.
Yes.
So one question Eric and I were answering this morning, how do you calculate that? Get your bank statements out. Look at where your commission dollars were deposited. praying that you have separate bank accounts so it's not commingled. So make sure you're looking at that. Peggy, the information doesn't matter about the last quarter. It's quarter over quarter. So it could be 1 versus 1, 2 versus 2, 3 versus 3, 4 versus 4. So that's why you're here, to get this good information. And remember, it's 19 quarters versus 20 quarters. There was also a quick question here. There's 2 questions about PPP round 1. That's what Eric is telling y'all. There's still round 1 money available, but it's this close to running out. So don't let the moss grow under y'all. Go get that now. There's links in the comment thread here, and we're posting them on all of our bios. Go apply, friends, because these are your taxpayer dollars, and we need you to stay in business. I don't want to live in a world that is run by giant corporations only. I like small businesses. I'm a small business. I want to protect small businesses, bars and restaurants. Eric said this morning, and I got to say a big amen. I don't just want to eat at chains. I like small places. So anyway, Eric, talk more about round 2 and tell them about bars and restaurants, actually, because this is something that's important for all of us who like to eat and drink.
Yeah, absolutely. So remember, when you're applying for PPP2, there's going to be questions on there about your first round. Don't feel pressured because you haven't received forgiveness yet. You may not have even applied. Your bank may have not offered it yet. As long as you did what you were supposed to do, and we know you paid yourself, you're going to qualify for PPP2. So don't worry about that. Now, the income will be the same as your first PPP. It's going to be 2.5 months of your income is the amount the government is going to loan us. The great news is for bars, restaurants, places like that, they are going to qualify for 3.5 months. They may not know this. So in your database, if you have friends that own mom and pop restaurants, make sure you reach out to them and let them know all that is available to them, because they're getting slaughtered right now. It's terrible.
Especially, y'all, California, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Michigan, the states that have had the worst lockdowns. If you are a realtor in those areas or a regular person in those areas, reach out to your friends, your neighbors, your clients, your sphere, because people need to know this. And y'all, the news has been so nasty for the last several months. A lot of people have tuned out. They don't know this. And so you got to be the one that reaches out and helps. Eric, we have a question here about, let's see, we answered that one. I applied but never completed the information the first time. Can I apply this time?
Yes, you would be applying for PPP1 though.
All right, so get that done today. That's for you, Rolanda Rogers. Go apply today.
And just because you didn't apply for PPP1, get it today, because then it might set you up to get PPP2 down the road. So make sure you do that.
Evans. Kenny, go get that done. Try again. We have a link for y'all with a lender that can provide help. Abby Nelson, hey, friend, is PPP2 forgivable as well? And she also wants to know if she personally applies as Abby Nelson or as Abby Nelson Inc., because she has one of those pass-through entities. Can you talk about the pass-through entities?
Yes, that's a great question, Abby. As long as you're just an Inc. and it's an LLC, you're good to go. If it's a 2-person LLC, it's a little bit different process. So it really comes down to, does your income show up on a 1065? If it does, then you're going to apply in that entity's name. If you get like a regular LLC that comes through to your 1040 on your Schedule C, then you would apply as your individual person.
Hopefully that helps, Abby. Of course, y'all, all of this, Eric and I are not bankers. That's my good friend Mark is reminding me here. He's checking in to make sure what non-bank people are telling. But so far, we're getting a thumbs up that we're good advice so far.
Yes.
Always talk to your tax professionals and to your bank professionals. But sometimes they're not going to give you all the best information. Let's just be honest. It depends on who your bank is. And there was a great comment over here from Kathy, who made this comment this morning to another friend of ours who was saying, golly, it was so much paperwork she gave up because it was going to be hours. Kathy gave the reminder. It took her 5 hours to go through all the layers of red tape, but it was $4,000 an hour by the time she got that thing approved. And so remember that this is something that's going to shore you up. And we do have economic uncertainty. If you've paid attention to the first few days of 2021, you've seen a lot of changes. You've seen pipeline workers be out of work already. And so there's economic uncertainty out there, which means when you get these dollars, you want to have yourself shored up for the future because 1099s are considered to be economically uncertain. Now, Tyne is asking a great question. She says she's nervous about applying for round 2 because she's concerned about the payback and how they're going to claw back this money. Do you have any information on the clawbacks besides the fact that we know that realtors and other trade organizations are working for forgiveness of all the smaller stuff?
And I would say this to you, try to put that forgiveness in the back of your mind. I know that it's difficult, but they're doing everything in their power to forgive these loans. They've updated that forgiveness application several times since June, and every time they've done it, it's gotten easier and easier. And now it's all the way down to a one-page application, and the person who received the loan is just attesting that they paid themselves. Okay, they've made it easier every time. It costs the government too much to check into your application or your forgiveness just to find out if you did it. It's too much of an expense. So what the guidance coming from DC is that if you are under $50,000, you're not paying it back. You're probably going to pay you're probably going to fill out a one-page document, and that's it. The other thing to remember is your bank wants you to be forgiven. This is not like a car loan. If you don't get forgiveness, you then have a loan with that bank at 1% interest. The banks don't want that. If you get forgiven, they take their 100 basis points and it's free money to them. It's profit. They don't have to collect from you. They don't have to worry about you not paying. So the banks want you to be forgiven. DC wants you to be forgiven. Lee wants you to be forgiven. You're going to get forgiven.
And trust us. We're not saying trust the government. We're just saying that Eric and I would never, ever say that. But what we're saying is this is one thing they're making an honest effort to get right. Let's just put it that way. And we're small potatoes, y'all. All of us that are on this stream right now, we are small potatoes compared to the big cheeses out there. And I will do everything I can to help protect small business because I'm small business too, as are all realtors. Now we have a clarification here. Samantha is asking how you calculate this 25%. Y'all, be very clear on this. That's gross receipts.
Yeah.
Gross. So look at your commissions that come in, however you're paid. Look at your bank statement from the second quarter in specific of 2019 and what money you had coming in. Then look at the second quarter of 2020 and what you had coming in. That's where you're looking for that 25% or more differential. Now, a lot of y'all had a really great fourth quarter. Look back at second quarter, though, because the wheels came off the bus then. And for some of y'all, they were still off in third quarter. God bless California, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Michigan, because y'all have had a much worse time of it than some other states. So take a look at those numbers. And it's 19 versus 20, quarter by quarter. Colleen is asking about the gross on your 1099. You can look at the gross on your 1099, absolutely. But friends, make sure you're looking at the gross and not the net. Eric, talk to us a little bit about the process. How much time does it actually take to get through this? What paperwork do people need to have ready besides bank statements so that they can pull this through?
Yeah, so first you would want to do that calculation to make sure you're hitting the 25% reduction. You need your tax return, your 2019 tax return. You're going to need a copy of your driver's license. And I would, if you're going to need the information from the first PPP loan you received. It's got an SBA loan number on it. Other than that, it's pretty easy. If for instance, if you're in a situation, and this is kind of odd, but realtors, I think, are going to be in this situation a lot in a non-shutdown state, meaning they had a better year in 21 and 20 than they had in 19, but they have a quarter that's 25% less than 19. So it's very possible that you made more money in 20 than you did in 19 and still qualify for round 2. So you want to make sure that you look at all those numbers, get all that right. The application has been streamlined. I did it. It probably took 8 minutes. It's very, very simple. It's one page plus a bunch of check marks. It's all on DocuSign. So it's easy to do.
Okay, a couple of great points that are made over here in the comments by our very astute friends. Some folks have bankers helping them fill out the documents. That's a great banking relationship, and it's a
Yes.
reason to use a small local bank, just saying. And also who have great accountants who have helped keep track of their paperwork. That's when you've got a great relationship, friends. Not everybody has that. If you don't, it's a wonderful person to have on your team as a business owner. Now, Joanne has a wonderful question here and pretty accurate for a lot of people. Her first year in real estate was 2020. God bless you, Joanne. She says, do I qualify? Because she has obviously no real estate income from 19, but a different profession. How would that work? Do you have any idea, or should she call the SBA?
I've got a little bit of an idea. Did you get your license before February 15th?
She can't answer us
Okay.
unless she's actually watching.
Act like I'm talking to her.
I mean, we kind of are. So if she pops up over here in the comments.
So if she received her license before,
we're talking to Joanne Whirling. Joanne, if you're still on Facebook, Eric's trying to answer your question.
I'm doing it verbally. I'm going to just tell Siri. So Joanne Whirling, if you got your license before February 15th, you should be able to receive PPP 1. And if you didn't, hit me up in the messages and we'll talk about how we can look at that.
Yeah, guys, because we're not bankers or tax professionals, but Eric has done the research and he's actually talked to people at the SBA to make sure we're giving y'all as much accurate information as possible. Jonathan's asking who all can apply for PPP. He's inside a team. Am I eligible? Yes, Jonathan. If you receive a 1099, you don't have to own the brokerage or own the team to be eligible. In fact, this was something I went over with my team when PPP first rolled out last year. Go get it. And anybody over here in the comments talking about still applying for round one, there's a link in this video and also in the comments. We've got a relationship with Eastern Union and they can process you. You can also talk with your local banker wherever you have your relationship to get round one done so that you can then apply for round two. But y'all, you need to get this done quickly. This is not something you can drag out because when it's gone, that's going to be interesting. And let's give a high five to Wes over in North Dakota because he saved his working capital in 2020. And since he did that, Eric, why don't you give them some advice on how to handle the money when it is deposited? What's the best way to process this for protection now and in the future?
Okay, and this is where a lot of confusion came in. If you read the forgiveness stuff that the government produced, they said you had to have a very specific formula. Hold on, because I get a little excited talking about this. And then what they said was that your payroll had to be 60% at least. And then they gave you a list of expenses that could get to 100%. But what they didn't tell you is if your payroll is 100%, you hit your numbers. So the easiest way to do that is when you get that, the money lands into your account, set up an automatic check payment. Pay from that account to another account you have. This is very important. Write a check each week for the next 8, 10, 12, 24 weeks. Divide it out. And that way the government will have a clear trail of you paying yourselves. Now, I know a lot of you put that commission straight into your personal account and it's mixed with your spouse's paycheck and all that. For this one, this is the time that you need to do it right. Go set up a business checking account. They do not cost anything at any bank.
And you should already have this, friends. We're not judging you for not having it, but get it done now and fix it forever.
Now's the time to fix it. Everybody wants a reset every once in a while. You've probably known this for several years that you needed to fix this, but you never got around to it. Now's the time to get around to it. Let it hit in one account, pay yourself in another, and then keep doing that for the rest of your life.
So, Eric, let's talk about that money for a minute. You just talked about using it for payroll purposes. Can people get the PPP money and use it for marketing or for hiring or for business expansion? Are there any restrictions on the usage of the money?
There's, as long as you take the PPP money and pay yourself, once it gets into that other account, you can do whatever it is you want to do with it.
Anything you want to do with it.
Anything you want to do with it, because you've met the requirement that they have laid out for us that 100% is going to payroll. So you take that money, put it in the other account, you've hit the requirement, and then it's there. So you're good to go.
All right, Joanne replied back. She got her license October of 19. This is the lady who's new to real estate.
Yeah, you should be good to go, Joanne. If you'll hit me up on Facebook, we'll talk that through. But I think you're going to be good to go.
All right, Ann's got a question here. How do I compare gross commissions from 19 to 20 when she was an individual agent in 19 and a brokerage owner in 20. And were you a 1099 both times? How are you paid as a brokerage owner? Are you still paying yourself as a 1099? Would that be that's the right question, right? Isn't it, Eric?
That's exactly the question.
And this might be a time to bring your accountant in to help you look at the way you're structured. And friends, if y'all are curious about some of these comments about people that are set up as incorporated, S Corp, C Corp, they've got themselves as a corporation, that is a wonderful, wonderful thing to consider as a professional 1099 person, to not pay that self-employment tax. Definitely see your tax professional about that. But it's also something that in real estate, we worked for those pass-through entities to be protected in the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act from 2017. So think about that as you're moving forward in your real estate business. Should you get incorporated, ask your tax advisor, but most of us will say yes. All right. So Kelly says, what if I didn't start until July of 19 and can't compare second quarters? Well, honey, if you started in July of 19, my guess is that your third and fourth quarter of 19 weren't squat, but 2020 might have been great if you sold some houses. So just pull those numbers from your bank statements. You're looking.
No, that's backwards. She said she started in third. She started in third quarter of 19.
Right. So her third quarter will suck for 19 because she wouldn't have sold anything in her first.
She needs it to be high. She needs it to be higher than 20.
Oh, you're right.
So she probably, though, she would qualify
unless she didn't sell.
So what she needs is to get her 1099 for 2020 and apply for the PPP 1, and using her income from 20 is what she needs to do.
There you go. So that's why Eric's here, because I hear things backwards. Hey, we got Vicky on YouTube is asking a question that is actually super relevant. She said when she compares her 19 and her 20 gross income, does she include that PPP money that came in from round one?
No.
No, guys, it doesn't count as income. So that's a great question, Vicky, and thank you for asking that. Eric, now might be a good time for you to talk about EIDL, though, because some folks got the economic injury disaster loan, and that's a different product altogether from PPP, which we ran into that conversation earlier, too.
And some people may have received the EIDL loan and thought that they received the PPP. If you got your loan, if you filled your application out at SBA.gov and you got loan documents from SBA.gov, you did not get a PPP, and probably half the people we talked to in June thought they had a PPP and they had an EIDL. These EIDL loans are amazing, but they aren't as good as a PPP because they are not forgivable, right? You're going to pay that EIDL money back. You're not paying the PPP money back. But I also want you to consider using that EIDL as a buffer over the next year. The EIDL is a loan straight from the SBA. It's a low interest rate, typically under 4, but the amazing part of it is it has a 30-year amortization, just like a house. You can't walk into a bank, I don't care who you are and how much money you have, and get a 30-year personal loan amortized over 30 years with no collateral. You can't do it. They are offering this up to you. Now, there's a lot of rules and stipulations on this EIDL loan, but if you are a business owner and you have overhead, like a brokerage, you really need to consider taking that EIDL loan. There's no repayment for a year. There's no interest for a year. You have an entire year to figure it out. And I never encourage anybody to borrow money, ever, ever, ever. But this is the one time that you get a whole year to figure out if you're going to use this money. And once you're done with this year, you got some really good opportunity. We talked about it this morning, Lee, and I want you to hit on that again. This is the opportunity for the reset button. This is your opportunity that people pray for. Just go, give me one more chance. This is it.
I mean, think about it, y'all. We know that at the beginning of a business, you often don't believe you're going to be as successful as you get. And so you start commingling funds, and you need to have separate accounts for your business, separate accounts for your taxes, separate accounts for your personal, so that as you make money, you can divvy it up and do things well from here on out. It's just like if you weren't incorporated before 2021, that doesn't matter. Don't look backwards, look forward. Set up that business account, set up that tax account. I can tell you as a broker, I have seen so many agents have an amazing year, and then they come around to taxes and say, oh, I have to pay for this because they didn't think about quarterlies. And Eric, you should actually mention that, because this money can be used to pay taxes. And you talked about that this morning as that was where the reset conversation came
Yes.
from. These dollars can be used in very intriguing ways. And before you answer it, friends, if you're looking for the link, Michelle is doing her best to feed it through the chat stream and get it into the header. So Rolanda, we're coming to you with the link here shortly. Michelle will have you. And Eric, explain that, and then we'll get to Seth's question.
On the PPP money, we talked about how we put that in a different account, and then it's kind of yours to do what you want. On the EIDL money, they're very specific. You can use it for business overhead expenses. You can pay your rent, your mortgage of your business, all that. You can use your EIDL money for. You can make, if you make your car payment, if it's in your business's name, you can make the car payment. What you cannot do is pay down long-term debt. So you can't get a $100,000 EIDL loan from the SBA and then go pay off your mortgage for your house. You cannot do that, but you can pay debt that would be naturally occurring over the next year. So think about it, think it through, because I know it gets a little bit confusing, but each month you have overhead to pay every month. You have to pay it. It just keeps coming. Well, in the case of the EIDL, if you took the EIDL loan, you could pay all of your normal overhead expenses, including your income tax, your quarterly tax payments, all of those kind of things that you normally have to do. You could pay that out of your EIDL funds. And then the money that you normally pay your operating budget out of, put that somewhere else. GameStop stock, BlackBerry, Nokia, wherever you want to invest in. No, do not invest in any of those.
No, because you can't trust the government to stay out of the way.
So put it somewhere else. And then a year from now, you're going to have more in that account than you owe the government. And then you can look and say, well, what should I do with this $102,000? Do I pay the $100,000 loan off and not have to worry about being in debt? Or do I expand my business?
Oh, should we look at the interest rates being paid and consider the arbitrage there?
You're looking at 3.75% interest on that loan a year from now is when it starts, and it's tax deductible. If you factor in inflation, they gave you money for 30 years.
And don't forget that, guys, inflation is going to hit the rate at which the government is printing money. There's no way to avoid it, no matter how many shenanigans and shell games they play, because can somebody who does math go to Washington, D.C., but that's a different discussion altogether?
You can already see it at the grocery store. Go buy some green peppers.
Yep.
Buy some milk. Everything
go to the
is
Chinese
up.
restaurant. Everything is up, and you got to be paying attention, guys. But think about it. If you're going to pay off your tax bill, it's going to be cheaper with the EIDL rate than it is to pay the penalty to the IRS for not paying your taxes. There's so many ways to get smart here, but if you're not that person, right? So that's not your gift. Your gift is relationships and selling things. Get somebody who does have a gift for math and spreadsheets, a CPA, an accountant. Get them to help you. Marcella, yes, you can send Eric a friend request on Facebook, and you should also send him your Northeast Tennessee referrals. And that's your way to thank him for giving his knowledge, is let him help your buyers and sellers in Northeast Tennessee. And let's see, Seth Daly, do you have to pay back the advance on the EIDL that came out last year?
Oh, another great thing that happened. We talked about earlier how they're trying to make this so sweet for us. If you got forgiveness in October, November, December, and you also had an EIDL advance, you had to pay that advance back. If you get forgiveness now, you don't have to pay that advance back. And for the people who have already received forgiveness, you're going to get that back. It is awesome.
And again, this is a good thing that we're micro businesses, guys. Make sure you're sharing this with other micro businesses, hairdressers, nail techs, contractors of all shapes and sizes and sorts, and insurance agents, because your neighbors in your sphere, your clients, they might be the only person that you might be the only way they find out, because this stuff is not in the mainstream media. This stuff is not sexy enough for anybody to really talk about except for you. So go talk about this with people that you love and help them take advantage of the program and get their taxpayer dollars back. To reiterate a couple of questions over here, yes, you need round 1 in order to get round 2 and apply for it today. There is a link rolling through the comments here that we've got a relationship set up with Eastern Union to help y'all get that done. And Catherine's asking if you got both PPP round 1 and an EIDL, do you still qualify for PPP 2? Are they related, those three?
And they are not. And that's why they kicked out the advance thing, is they kind of had to sit there and look at it and say that didn't really make any sense to give everybody this advance back in May and June and July because we were desperate. And here we are, 6 or 8 months later, and we're still in the same situation. It didn't make any sense. These were two totally different programs. You have one that was a loan from banks, and then you had another one that was from the government. Two total different things. So now it's separate. If you got the PPP 1 and you got the EIDL and you have that 25% reduction that we've been talking about, you're going to qualify for PPP 2.
Yeah, we know this is confusing, guys. And I know that the questions coming through, you're like, wait, what? We get it. We totally get it. This is recorded. You can totally go back and watch it again, and you'll probably stay confused because we're sorting through it to help you sort through it. So as you think through, here's your basic steps. You need PPP 1. If you don't have it, go apply today. Then you can apply for PPP 2, which is out right now. To get PPP 2, you need to show a 25% loss of revenue, gross revenue between 19 and 20, quarter one, quarter two, 3, 4, 4. That's what you got to show. Bank statements can do that for you, or a P&L if you're organized. Please get organized going forward. Then the EIDL, Economic Injury Disaster Loan, that's the one that was available for a minute. They gave out some advances. Then it was only available to ag. Then they opened it back up, and it's open. It's all over the place. That would be one you applied for with a repayment plan to it, and with 30-year note, low interest rate. The question being asked over here about whether or not that will be forgiven, I haven't heard any talk of EIDL forgiveness. Have you, Eric? I think they're using that as the one little incoming sliver of money.
I think that the reason that they were able to offer this SBA EIDL loan, and this quite frankly is the reason they should always do this, is the government right now is borrowing money at nothing, right? This is the cheapest dollar. So you think it's low. If a 30-year mortgage is low, think about what the government is buying at. So this is actually going to be a profitable program for them to loan it out at 3.75%. So I don't think you're going to see forgiveness there. But Kristen Martin, you had that question about the EIDL. Yes, if you had to pay your advance back when you got your PPP forgiveness, you'll get that money back. It's going to take a hot minute, but you will get it back.
Okay, we have a question. If you didn't qualify for round 1 PPP, can you apply again?
Well, what was the reason you didn't qualify? We need to know the reason they didn't qualify.
Okay, so she says for some reason, so I'm guessing she does not know.
Well, it could be that she applied at the wrong place. She may have applied at SBA.gov thinking she was applying for the PPP and didn't. But if she had a 1099, she should have received it. But before we forget, because I didn't touch on it this morning, we also have 2 great tax credits coming for everybody that was small business owners that were affected by coronavirus. If you were quarantined, or if your kid's school was closed and you couldn't work because of that. So there are other things out there that you got to make sure you talk to your accountant, because this is something that the IRS has not even published their final guidance on yet. They don't have the final form. If your accountant's busy, they're just going to want to get you through there. Make sure you ask about it. So it's form 7202. And it's a tax credit, not a deduction. It's a credit. So this is hard dollars right off your number. So they take the income that you received for the entire year, divide that by 260 to give you a daily rate of income, and then they credit you up to 10 days. So that's up to $511 a day, depending on how much you made, which is amazing. And then the other one is under the family leave. So you remember, if you work for a big corporation like Google and your kid gets sent home closed, or you can't work, or you're taking care of your parents, whatever it is, they have a thing called the Family Medical Leave Act. Those people got 50 days. Well, Realtors didn't get that. We had to keep doing what we do. So this is why the tax credit's set up for self-employed people. Right. And so
you said that's the IRS form 7202. Wait, say it again.
I think it's 7202.
7202.
And I think it's still at draft form.
Okay. Whew, we think that's draft. So I just dropped it into the comments on YouTube, apparently wherever else. Double check us on that. We think that's the form. But here's another IRS tip for you that Eric pointed out earlier. Hey, Eric, when they're comparing the numbers, what's the line item they want to look at? It was like line 31
Line 31 of your Schedule C.
There you go. Line 31, Schedule C. Oh, Jody's keeping us accountable. She said, what's the other credit?
The other credit is up to 50 days where we don't get Family Medical Leave Act. They're going to give you 2/3 of your pay per day up to 50. Now, the reason that the IRS still hasn't quite figured this out yet is they don't know if your 50 days were also in the same period that we were given a PPP loan. They're not positive that they're going to give us all three, but be aware. Because these are tax credits, Lee. You can't get anything better than a tax credit. I mean, that's dollar for dollar.
And it's not a repayable problem. It's not an interest-bearing problem. And guys, know this. The reason Eric and I are bringing this to you, nobody tells us this, right? It's like this stuff gets passed in the bureaucracies. I'm pretty sure they count on people not figuring it out. So take advantage of all of this. This is your taxpayer dollars. This is your business we want to keep afloat. And your neighbors, your favorite restaurant, help everybody around you get a hold of this information. It's so important. If you don't have a relationship with your local banker, highly recommend you get to know a local banker who knows you as a neighbor and can help with this.
Hey, Jody Noble, you're asking about the other credit that brought me up. So that credit will be on your tax return. All right. So if you let's say you get $1,000 credit from what we just described, and you owe the IRS $800, you're going to get $200 back. This is a tax credit. The other thing, let's talk about stimulus, Lee. We didn't hit that this morning. If you got a stimulus check, you're not paying taxes on that. But if you were supposed to get a stimulus check the second round, so if your income is in those levels and you didn't get it, you're going to get a refund on your taxes this year in 2020. So the $600 that they sent out for each adult, was it 6? Yeah, 6 for each adult and the kids. If you for some reason didn't get that, but your income number is where it's supposed to be to get it, which I think is under 150, and then it tiers up. If you didn't get that for some reason, if it did not hit your bank account, you'll get it on your tax return when you fill out your taxes. I'm telling you guys, because I've been there, accountants don't make any money on people like us. They make money on big businesses, and they have to get us out of the way to spend the rest of their time on businesses, and they will miss this stuff if you don't ask them. You have an accountant in your life is as important as a home inspector, an appraiser, or anybody else you use in your business.
Well, and be like my friend Jason O'Neill in Indianapolis. Jason is smart. He's got 4 different accountants, and he has them all run his scenarios separately to make sure that he's getting different eyes on it. And that's a really great way to invest your money. I think it's a brilliant strategy.
That's brilliant. That's an audit. He's basically got audit defense.
Exactly. Okay, so we have a question here. Is there a deadline for lenders to let us know if round 1 has been forgiven? My bank keeps telling me they are waiting for the government to finalize guidelines. Sue, I don't think anything's going to be finalized for a while because Treasury keeps making stuff up as they go. And she says, I don't want to apply for round 2 if round 1 is not forgiven. Sue, apply for round 2.
Yeah.
We can't guarantee anything, but the chances of this getting forgiven are very, very high.
Yeah, and the reason your bank is being smart, because they know the longer they wait, the easier it is going to be for you to get forgiveness. They don't want for you to not be forgiven. They don't want that loan on their books. They're going to do everything. So just be cool about it. If they're not asking about it, it's not due. You don't owe it. Don't worry. That part is going to work out. I'm more sure of that than I am the economy.
Marcella is asking a great question. Do you have to have your 19 taxes filed to apply for round 1?
Yes. You didn't back then, but you do now.
Round 1. Right.
Yeah.
Your 20 taxes probably aren't filed yet.
You don't have to worry about 20 taxes. If your 19 taxes were filed. So, but she brings up another great thing we haven't mentioned. If you did for some reason and you fit in that little category where you made more money in 20 than you did in 19, but you have that 1 quarter that you're down, you may want to wait until you get your numbers your 1099 and your tax returns done so that you can make sure you get a maximum amount of loan. Does that make sense?
And I think you want this, y'all, because think about the interest rates and think about the potential for growth. So one thing Eric and I were talking about this morning is that if you did not put aside your quarterly taxes and you get the PPP, there's no reason you can't use that incoming payroll from PPP to pay your taxes. And again, this is back to the big reset. You guys got to think about yourselves as business owners, and you got to get super smart going forward, because Eric's already mentioned it. We've got economic uncertainty, and we've got to think about how impactful we are on our communities. Without realtors talking to neighbors, how many of our neighbors would never think they had a chance at home ownership? And that's generational wealth. So we need to keep realtors in business, and realtors have to keep landscapers and house cleaners and, well, junk removal people in business. We keep each other in business because that's what we do. Make sure you're sharing all of this, by the way, with all of your bars and restaurants. I'm worried to death about individual bars and restaurants. I don't plan to eat in chain places for the rest of my life. I am checking for comments and questions. I think we've gotten most of the questions.
Kathy Heron with another truth bomb, though. If you're nervous about being forgiven, just put the money aside.
Yes, absolutely. And Catherine gave
dropping nuggets all day.
I mean, we're going to have to bring Kathy on next time because she like cuts through to the chase faster than you and I do as big talkers. Catherine Sakis mentions that her EIDL loan amortized over 30 years was $95 a month, cheapest money she's ever seen. So thank you, Catherine, for mentioning that, because guys, you're not always going to have access to credit. It's like Eric said, you're not a giant corporation. You're not Jeff Bezos. You're mostly small neighbors trying to make a go of it. Take advantage of the opportunities. Let's see. Brandy asked, where do you apply for round one? We dropped the links in, Brandy. We've got a relationship with Eastern Union that we got set up, but check with your local bank too. There's tons of places you can get it. If you get told no, try somewhere else, because the money's almost out, but y'all can get a hold of it. And Jody, you're so cute. Let's say Jody Noble's name again, because she felt famous because she says y'all back to us. I think she must be Southern too.
Jody.
Listen, I think we answered a ton of questions. Do me a favor. Give Eric a big thank you wherever you are, because he has spent so much time doing the research on this. And I am so grateful to call him a friend and the penultimate realtor champion, because you champion for everybody that you serve, Eric, and all these people you've never met before. I love you, brother. And I think you're amazing.
I love you, sis.
Listen, guys, put together a marketing piece, write a blog post, put something on LinkedIn, reach out to your clients, past clients, future clients, make sure your neighbors know this is available, reach out to your chamber of commerce, go to your favorite restaurant and help them out. Guys, we have to take care of each other. Small business does better when we band together, and make no mistake about it. There might be 1.4 million realtors in the country, but I'm going to tell y'all something. We can't do things by ourselves as our tiny micro entrepreneur selves. We can help each other, though. And by the way, what area of East Tennessee, Eric, they'd like to know your specific towns. Why don't you tell them?
Northeast Tennessee. I'm in Kingsport, Johnson City, Bristol, up in the corner where Virginia, North Carolina, and Kentucky meet. And I'll also say that GameStop is down 109 points since I recommended it 5 minutes ago, I think. It's down to 237.
But what Eric and I said before we started the feed was, we have to take care of each other, because y'all, if they can take down some Reddit guys who were working GameStop because they hurt a hedge fund's feeling, they can hurt you too. So take advantage of this, get the dollars in your account, and look after each other, because none of us are hedge funds, but by grannies, we can do great things for our community. So sending y'all lots of love. Anything I can do to help, y'all know where to find me. Y'all give Eric all the thanks and love. Send him some handwritten personal notes, because he's a big old sucker for that. And extra credit if you tell his wife, Heather, thank you too, because she puts Eric out on loan to give herself a break, and we love her for that. So with that being said, friends, we will see y'all around. And by the way, if you're not on Clubhouse yet, now's the time to get over there. We'll get you invited in. It's a wonderful new social network. Bye, y'all. We love you.